5 different political statuses, 5 different estates. March 22, 2020 by Anna von Reitz. We recently issued a one-pager about the issue of citizenship and non-citizenship and described the 5 political statuses that people in America can adopt, or be born or naturalized into. Very briefly they are, 1. State national, 2. State citizenship, 3. Federal United States citizen American, 4. Territorial U.S. citizen, British, 5. Municipal citizens of the United States Papist. Now that you grasp the fact that there are 5 different political statuses, you can also grasp the fact that each status has different roles, rules, and benefits, which in sum total are called estates. State nationals hold their estate in the United States, and populate the national jurisdiction of the soil in each state of the Union. State citizens hold their estate in the United States of America, and populate the international jurisdiction of the land and sea in behalf of each state of the Union. Federal United States citizens are Americans who adopt federal dual citizenship and retain their state national political status while working as employees of the States of America, the Confederation of States, like the state of California, that have been missing from 1860 to 1998. Regardless of the condition, existence or non-existence of the Confederation of States to administer these functions, the Federation of States is competent to do so and has done so. These federal United States citizens conduct international business in behalf of the United States of America, and may work on either the land or the sea. An example of this political status are the Continental Marshals land and their counterparts the United States Marshals sea. Territorial U.S. citizens are typically Americans who were born in the insular states like Guam and Puerto Rico, or who adopted such citizenship as a condition of their employment in the U.S. military or acquired it as dependents of someone in the U.S. military. The British monarch continues to hold some part and influence over the U.S. military as a result of agreements making the British monarch the trustee of Americans on the high seas and navigable inland waterways. Municipal citizens of the United States are often Americans but may come from anywhere on the globe, who have adopted such citizenship as a condition of their employment for the Federal Civil Service, as a dependent of a Federal Civil Service worker, or as a municipal employee or native of Washington, D.C., or they may have adopted such political status as a religious obligation. The municipal government of the District of Columbia is a theocracy run by the Roman Catholic Church doing business as the United States. That municipal government has done business as a commercial corporation since 1878 and it is currently in the process of settling its Chapter 7 bankruptcy and liquidation. Key points. 1. All 3 species of federal employees cannot own land in America, they can only reside in the states on a temporary basis until such time as they retire and return to their birthright political status or become naturalized state nationals. If they are Americans seeking temporary employment as federal citizens, their land assets are held for them in state trusts during their tour of duty or foreign assignment. 2. Federal employees are not owed any protections under the constitutions governing their political status, they are subject to the constitutions when on the land and soil of the states, that's why it's called the law of the land, meaning that they have to obey and respect the constitutional guarantees owed to American state nationals and American state citizens, but have no such protections themselves, because their political statuses are created by the constitutions. There are three constitutions, one for each kind of federal government subcontractor: American, Territorial, Papist. You can now readily see that with respect to the land and soil there are only 3 estates: American state national soil, American state citizen land, and American state trust land and soil assets held in trust for Americans while serving as federal citizens. Because federal citizens are all serving as employees of foreign corporations of one sort or another, they are not able to possess actual factual assets, such as gold and silver, in their own names, and under their own control, either. The United States of America unincorporated, which is the federation of the states in international jurisdiction, and the state citizens known as the people are the parties and principals holding the American side of the constitutions and have the right of enforcement thereof. Since 1863, the British Territorial United States government operating the U.S. military has proposed to represent us and act as our agents, and has instituted a de facto foreign government on our shores, operated via political parties lobbies as a democracy. This military protectorate was established by Abraham Lincoln operating as the commander-in-chief in March of 1863, when the northern states of the original Confederacy declared bankruptcy. This was not a collapse of our government, but merely the collapse of one of the federal subcontractors. The circumstance was not freely disclosed to the American states and people, so the reconstruction of the American Confederation of States was never completed. This left the British-influenced territorial military government substituting itself for the government we are owed, but themselves still owing every jot of their own constitutional contract and obligation to us. The United States of America unincorporated and our member states have declared our proper political status, and the state citizens have similarly corrected all false presumptions about their political status. We have assembled our states of the Union, and presented our claims to all actual and factual land and soil and physical assets, including gold and silver, etc., owed to the American states and people. Mr. Trump, as Commander-in-Chief of the Territorial United States of America and the Director of the U.S. citizens making up the military and their dependents, is not able to settle the bankruptcy of the Municipal United States, Inc., for us. We must be brought to the table. The national credit is pre-paid and owed to Americans, not U.S. citizens. The American gold and other physical assets held in the Philippines and elsewhere is owed to Americans, not U.S. citizens. The land and soil of this country is owed to Americans, not U.S. citizens. The role of all U.S. citizens is to obey the Constitution and protect this country and its people, period. The moment that U.S. citizens act in a hostile or predatory way toward their employers, they become criminals and outlaws, lose their political status, and forfeit the assets held in trust for them. It's not that we wish for anything but cordial relationships with our employees, but they must understand that they are employees. They have jobs, functions, and obligations owed to the people of this country. Those jobs and functions do not include seizing upon our assets and offering our assets as collateral for their debts. Whether they are seizing upon our land, our labor, or our gold as the underlying collateral is immaterial to the issue. Our employees are not authorized to do this. Period. We have our own government, with our own standards, and our own means of funding operations. All the actual and factual assets of the states and the territories belong to us, and we are competent to administer and manage our own business affairs, whereupon we have notified Mr. Trump and the Joint Chiefs and the other principals and parties around the world, and we have given clear direction regarding all these facts. There is no national emergency so far as we are concerned as the result of an enhanced common cold virus. Please send the Queen, the Pope, and Bill Gates the bill. They created the monster, they are responsible for it. Let them pay, up the wazoo. There is no excuse for any presumption by the territorial government that the municipal assets are abandoned. The moment that the municipal federal subcontractors fail, the rights, titles, duties, assets, patents, titles, copyrights, and trademarks, and all other material rights and interests, return to the original issuers and delegators, the United States of America, unincorporated, that is, the American states and people. Our claims are firmly established in the historical and current public record. They have been brought forward continuously since 1998, when we first realized the fraud and misrepresentation being worked against us, via a process of identity theft, credit fraud, and false presumptions against our political status. Mr. Trump, in his capacity as Commander-in-Chief, is called to our defense and obligated to return and re-venue our property assets to us, free of debt or encumbrance. In return, we will make provision for the payment and well-being of our employees and the support of the military according to the terms of the federal Constitution. The days of the tail wagging the dog are over, and instead of being upset by this, every American from Alaska to the Florida Keys should be happy. A century and a half of confusion, carpetbaggers, foreign intrigue, false debt, false taxation, self-service, and crime, is at an end. America is back on track. And all you have to do is do your part. If you are a federal employee, do your duty and stay the course. Respect the constitutional guarantees owed to all Americans. Do your job, and we will protect your trust, as you protect ours. Most Americans who are not presently federal employees or dependents have still not declared their political status and urgently need to do so. Go to www.theamericanstatesassembly.net for help and additional information. Join your state assembly today and take part in the process of self-governance.